So if I told you that I was planning to save and invest £100,000 in the next 2 to 3 years, a lot of people will probably think that it's impossible. But this is a UK thing, and this is what I found out, because I know that if I said the same thing to any of my American friends, they'll look like, yeah, this is totally normal. Or maybe even that the goal is a bit too small for a 2 to 3 year investment plan, so to speak. But I probably need to make a separate video around what I've found out with a lot of the UK people mindset. It's almost like people are conditioned to think that building wealth or having a certain amount of money, or the ability to actually even have a certain amount of money, is maybe nearly impossible for most people. And it's like everyone just believes it, and that is how they're moving. In this video, I'm going to be sharing how I plan to achieve this, what my roadmap is, where I am in my journey, and how you can possibly build your own roadmap to achieve whatever your goal is. Like I said, mine is £100,000. So where do you start? I think I mentioned this a bit earlier. It needs to start from you believing that this is actually possible. Like, whatever goal you want to set for yourself financially, if you don't believe that it's possible, that's where a lot of people actually get stuck. They don't even get started. They feel like it's impossible, and therefore, it's not for them. Once you are able to get past the fact that it is doable, it might not be doable for your existing situation right now, but it's not impossible if you make certain changes. I'm going to assume that you actually believe that this is possible, and then we can then take the very first step. And for me, the very first step is thinking about where I am and the things that I want to include or exclude from actually defining exactly where I am. So if you've been following my journey, you know that I have 2 investment properties, so I'm not counting that as an investment. Anyways, my goal here is to have £100,000 in liquid asset, or so it's not necessarily real estate, right? I am also not counting my pension pot, where both myself and my employer contribute to on a monthly basis. It's not something I can easily access, so I'm not counting that. I'm also not including my emergency funds, because hey, I am too risk averse for me to feel comfortable actually investing my emergency funds, so I am not including that, or any of the other sinking funds that I have for any of my upcoming expenses. So if I really think about where I am, I'm like less than 5K into my journey to 100K. And anyone thinking about, hey, how are you going to achieve this in 2 to 3 years? It's going to look like maybe it's impossible, or maybe someone is going to think that I'm earning, millions of pounds already. But anyways, jokes aside, once you're able to define where you are, then you're able to then move on to the next step, which is around what is the disposable income that you can actually play with for your investment. So essentially, you're looking at how much you're earning, what your fixed expenses are. If you have debts, you take that into account. If you're saving for your emergency funds, you take that into account as well. And then you look at how much of your income can you actually play around with if you wanted to invest. I go further down. Even though I know what my disposable income is, I know how much percentage of it that I also still want to invest, right? And when I look at how much I can conveniently save on a monthly basis, it's not looking like I will be able to achieve this in 2 to 3 years, right? It's looking more like, I would say maybe 6 to 7 years. right, based on my current plan, on where I am currently. And this takes me to the next step. I want to do this in 2 to 3 years, and 6 to 7 years for me is just too long. I low-key feel like maybe it's the midlife crisis that is making me want to aggressively do certain things, but it's also gives me a bit more perspective that, okay, I want to do this in 2 to 3 years, then how can I accelerate this journey? The only way I can accelerate the journey is by increasing my disposable income. And this could look like either increasing the percentage of my disposable income that I actually want to put into investing so that I can hit my goals much earlier. It could mean that maybe I need to cut back on certain expenses to have a bit more room to invest, or the alternative is I need to look for how to increase my income, and that is essentially the three main options that I'm looking at. And the last one, though, I will probably talk about that in the next point, is maybe not for everybody, but it depends on where you are and what you're trying to achieve, the timeline, the urgency for you. If I was in my early 20s, late 20s, maybe I could take my time in doing certain things, but I'm not there, and I want to be able to achieve certain things, which is why I've been a bit aggressive on my investing journey in the last 4 years, so to speak, since I moved to the UK. I don't necessarily feel like I have a lot of time to, to make things happen and to build things, because I feel like, hey, I didn't start investing very early on in my journey. I have been lucky with certain things, but in terms of actively investing for my future, I had to press reset, obviously, when I moved to the UK. And basically, I was starting from scratch. So everyone's journey is different, but this is me trying to accelerate the journey. As a matter of fact, if I could do it in a year, I would try to do it in a year. But currently, I still can't see how I can actually do it in a year. But back to what I was saying, right, in terms of how I can accelerate this journey, I've thought about it that, okay, so based on where I am right now, I'll probably ride the wave for, say, 6 months to 9 months, right? But I need to start to put plans in place to increase that disposable income to be able to allow me accelerate the journey, right? So I already know some of the personal loans I'll probably be paid off at a certain time, which will give me a bit more room to invest a bit more. I also want to take, and I know I've been saying this, posting on social media and increasing my personal brand and all of that more seriously. So also monetizing a lot of the skills that I currently have. These are conversations that I'm having with myself that say, okay, yeah, I'll give myself, X amount of time to do this. And it's something that you can also do for yourself, that, okay, this is where you are, this is where you can start. Because I think that all of this phase that I've been talking about is like you're still preparing, and that's where a lot of people get stuck, right? It's okay for you to start from where you are and then plan on how you can, accelerate your journey as you learn more, as you grow, and as you have a bit more brain space to actually think through how you can, do this for yourself. So it takes me to the next point. You just need to start, and you try as much as possible to remove any barrier that is going to, prevent you from, being consistent on the journey. So for me, my investment is automated. So once my salary is paid, I don't even have to think about it. With direct debit, it just goes into my investment account, right? So you with that automation in place, it just removes that laziness, or it removes that option for you to either decide or not decide to invest this month. I have my sinking funds, I have my emergency funds. So the likelihood of me feeling like I would need that money, or I would need to touch it, which is another reason why some people don't want to set up an automated direct debit to, invest. Right. So I automate the process for me. Now back to one of the points that I said I was going to talk about in terms of accelerating my journey is primarily my investment is in safer or more stable ETFs like the S&P 500 or the FTSE All World. But I feel like another way I can actually accelerate the journey is by investing more in assets that could potentially give me a bit more return, even though it is riskier. So I am sort of like diversifying my risk profile, so to speak. So most of my investment, like I said, is in these ETFs that return on the average 7 to 10% per annum. But if I'm able to invest in an asset that would give me 15, 20, 25% per annum return, I can get to my goal much faster. Again, like I said, this will probably be much more riskier investments, which means that if all goes well, I'm able to hit my goal much more faster. But if it doesn't go well, it also means that likelihood of me losing my money is also very high. So, but then again, because I know that I'm a bit of a conservative investor, I am starting small. And this is the part of my investment that I'm not automating. So, for example, let's say I have £500 to invest in a month, and I put in £400, direct debit. I set that up to go into my sort of like safer investment options. The £100, I manually decide what I want to invest in. If I still want to continue to invest in that much more riskier investment option, when they say that don't test the depth of the water with your 2 feet, that's exactly how I am, dealing with this part of my investment portfolio. So these are like individual assets or individual stocks that I'm picking based on whether things I've researched or maybe social media recommendation, and people can sell you all sorts online, right? Or maybe even things around crypto. So I want to determine, okay, this £100, like where do I put it? And that is the approach that I'm taking to say, hey, okay, I'm going to automate some parts where I know that, okay, this I want to really do. And then this other part is the one where I can take a bit more risk. If I lose the money, it won't be the end of my life. But if I do reap the reward of, investing in a riskier investment, then I will be better off for it, and I can easily, just have lesser time to invest. So these are some of the ways that I'm thinking about, how I'm going to get to this £100,000 in the next 2 to 3 years. But like I said from the get-go, you need to start by believing that you can do whatever you set your mind to do, or achieve whatever thing you are thinking about. And you need to put a plan in place. Whatever the amount is, whatever the goal is, it's yours and you need to own it. Your current realities might not look like this is possible, but you have to believe and then make the plan and execute against whatever your plan is. And, you can always change your mind as you go along the journey, as you learn more. What we don't want is not starting at all or feeling stuck. I hope that this video has helped, and hopefully I've been able to encourage at least one person to set a goal and achieve it, and not worry about what the current realities actually look like. It is your baseline, but you can always work to improve yourself from where you are. And I have come to the end of another video. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.